just my lifestyle. She was a mother, and I was never cheated, but I want to be here. Where you going? I'm going here. And I took her all over.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Well, we did.
Without mentioning names, please.
No. We did, but we didn't because they didn't bother you. I said, contrary to what people say, they don't bother you. The only they bother you is when you want a favor. So they come and they help you. Now they own a quarter of the club. Ooh. Before you know it, and we never ever asked for a favor. Never. When a kid died, we did all ourselves. Did everything else. They never bothered. They don't want to be bothered with a club. But when we opened as a discotheque, we used to be loaded. They used to love it.
I know we've spoken to John Elite about this because John Elite's father knew you.
Well, no, he knew my partner Mike.
Yeah.
I said to Mike, I don't want to say this to John. I said, but because my partner Mike worked in Queens.
Yeah.
We had half the club in Queens.
Yeah, Lemoore East.
Lemoore East.
Well, I thought that was Comac, Long Island.
No, Lemoore Far East.
Okay.
There was three of them at one point.
So we had the biggest one, which we wanted to buy, was the one in Staten Island. It was Lemoore's Paramount.
The Paramount Theater.
The theater. Over 3,000 people. Wow, we wanted it bad, but it had a crack on the side. We had to fix the wall, and we said we can't afford this.
I think you told me that Guns N' Roses played there the day Appetite for Destruction came out.
Yeah, it was like the week the album came out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Guns N' Roses only played the club because they wanted to see how good they would be at Manhattan. That's why they came to the club, yeah.
I mean, booking those acts had to be a whole different nightmare.
My partner George did everything. We had the bands.
Twisted Sister.
No, but the one that's the big band.
Metallica.
They were Thursday bands.
Yeah. Really?
They played every Tuesday and Thursday.
No kidding.
That was my claim to name. That's why I'm not in the club business. I come into work. I go, Dad, who's playing tonight? And I look up on the board. He goes, Rods and Metallica. Coming next week, Dad, who's playing tonight? Rods and Metallica. He goes, what's the matter? I said, they're never going to make it. I said, they play every freaking week. You're going to get sick of them. Who cares? You know, that's what you think.
One Sunday we had
40 years later.
One Sunday we had three bands. Wasp,
Armored Saint.
Wasp, Metallica, and Armored Saint. Yep. Wasp, the guy was from Staten Island.
Blackley Lawless.
Yeah. He used to play with chaps on, with no clothes. He just put the chaps on.
Did Overkill ever play there?
Absolutely. My father's partners were Overkill's managers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's how I got
hooked
up with Overkill.
Yeah. So Overkill's been real good to us.
Oh, well,
Derek
Overkill was good.
Yeah.
White Lion, that was my partner. They had the bands. I wasn't involved with the bands. They had the bands. They were good, though.
You've had this, I mean, really an amazing life from growing up in Jersey City to being the Frankie Butch to being a union delegate. I'm not buying that one, by the way. And then you to the Copa, which the historic Copa.
But, I mean, even get back to the Copa days. I mean,
they wrote the song about them.
Yeah, he did security
for Barry Manilow.
Yeah, they wrote the song about the bouncers.
He did security
They worked
about
from 8 to 4.
Bette Midler. Right,
See,
Tiny Tim. I remember being a kid. I think it was my birthday. It was either one of our birthdays.
Took you to go see Tiny Tim?
He took us over to Copa to go see Tiny Tim.
And it was funny that day to show you my mentality. I bring them over to Copa. So that
you let your kids around Tiny Tim? I wouldn't want to go around Tiny Tim.
So now they're having a Jewish singles downstairs. So I want to get downstairs, go to the office, see where Tiny Tim was there, have a picture, because I knew he wasn't performing that day because at the party downstairs. So the bouncer stops me and says, excuse me, I work here. I just want to go. You can't come here. So what I do, I grab him by the throat. I'm dragging, my kids are on the top of the stairs watching me. I'm running them through the club. I said, I said, what are I doing? I said, my kids got to watch this.
Well, I think, so in Wise Guys, Lou Albano's character was called Frankie Fixer. I think that's what his character was, probably after he met you.
But it's funny. We after Goodfellas came out, watched it in the movies. The scene where Leota takes his girlfriend to Copa, goes downstairs, dukes everyone, goes through this kitchen, And all my friends go, "No, that's great." I'm like, "That's the only way I go to the club." He goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "When we were kids, my father used to take us. We'd go downstairs to the kitchen, we'd go out, and they had a party, and they put a table right in the center, and we sit down, eat dinner, watch the show, and go home." I go, "That was normal. I thought that was what they did."
That's how you did it.
That's how we did it.
Listen, I don't think we ever went to an Italian restaurant without coming in through the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, and someone clearing people away. We go to LaMelo over from Manhattan, right? And my father knew the owners there and everything. And when I was younger, you know, me and a friend of mine would bring some girls over to try to impress them.
Oh,
you know?
man. Bring them to the Copa? Ooh.
No, we'd go to Lamella.
Lamella, okay.
It's on Mulberry Street in Brooklyn. I mean, in Manhattan. And I'd come up and a guy, remember Mimo? Mimo would say, "Oh, how many? Is it 4?" He'd go, and there would be no places to sit. He'd go up to people and say, "Are you finished eating?" They're like, "No." "Yes, you are." He'd like clean up the whole table, kick the people out and say, "Go ahead, sit down."
Union delegate, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll stick with that.
No.
Statute of limitations are over. So, doing all this stuff, I really want to know, in your mind, what kind of influence and what kind of role model did you want to be for your children? Whether you were or not is immaterial, but what did you want to do? Somebody that has a drive or somebody that stands up for themselves?
I learned one thing you can't do. You got to be yourself. You can't be like I am. That's why I say with Mike, I teach you, Mike is like I am. I would rather go to war with him than with Michael, because at least Frankie thinks things over. Me and Michael go to war, shoot him. I say, "Well, we just shoot that guy. He didn't do nothing wrong." But Frankie would think, I want them to be themselves. Don't be like me. I just want them, I did everything instinctively.
I think every parent says that to their children. Don't be like me. I say it to my kids now. I'm like, don't be like me. Learn from what I did.
See, what it's hard for them to do with me is that I got pictures home with Tony Bennett, love Jimmy Durante. I loved him.
And Frank Sinatra.
I'm a Sinatra 20 times.
All right, Dad, who do you think is a better singer, Frank Sinatra or Elvis Presley?
I will not air this episode if this is answered wrong.
And now,
as a singer, I thought Sinatra was better.
Oh, well, okay.
No, they were
All right, I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
They were two different types of singers.
I'll buy that.
And I'll put it this way. I go to the 500 Club. I was with my wife at the time. This woman that we knew, in the old days, they used to have the phones with the switchboards. We used to. She worked for New York Tel. She was a supervisor, so she would get calls from the East Coast to the West Coast, so they got to know her. So one day I'm over the house. My friend Patty. He's her nephew. Her nephew.
Patty Pandolfo?
No, Patty.
We're not going to mention names.
No, it wasn't. It was Patty the Spook.
His brother.
Was he another union delegate?
No. But we were with Patty. Patty says, "Come here." She had to take the phone away. She had to go get something. Patty says, "Come over here. Get on the phone." I get on the phone. It's Marlon Brando on the other end, and he's cursing on the phone. I ain't paying you this kind of money. He's his agent. "I ain't paying you this kind of money for me to come over here. You talk to the bros from New York. Get off the goddamn phone." Marlon Brando. Okay. That's how. Well, here's why I brought her up. She knew I liked Frank. She knew I liked Frank Sinatra. She knew I liked Frank Sinatra. So Patty calls me up and says, "Frankie, it's today you got to go. His mom is working. I know I can get out of work. It made no difference." I said, "Kat, you get out of work. We're going to get down to Atlantic City. Atlantic City, the 500 Club. We got tickets for Sinatra." So anyway, she gets out. I said, "Tell me your grandfather died or something." So we get down there. So we get all the way down there. It's Patty and his aunt, me and his mom, Kathy, and my friend, Mike. So we get down there. Now we get there. No name on the guest list. I said, "Oh, come on." I said, "I got to get out of work. Got to bring." Oh, she's irate. "Where's the phones?" Because he had no phone. You got to go up the corner. She goes up on the corner. 3-way conversation. Huh? The 500 Club in Vegas. Anyway, she straightens it out. So we go back down to the 500 Club, and he says, well, why didn't you say who you were, Papa? We went down. Seat we had was, can't you forget about it.
Carte blanche.
The guy that showed was Sinatra that night was Dean Martin.
Got his start in Atlantic City with Jerry Lewis.
But that's who happened to be one of the Rat Pack. To me, I thought he was better than Sinatra.
So I would agree with you because I actually saw both of them. I saw both of them in concert. And to be fair to Sinatra, he was getting older, and I think he had to use a teleprompter at the time. Yeah. Dean Martin's voice never wavered. It was smooth as silk. But Sinatra had that charisma.
But see, Dean Martin was, because he even said, if you expect me to sing, you might as well go. He didn't sing one song. He just cracked jokes. We were hysterical. Hysterical laughing.
You just watched the Dean Martin roast, and you know the guy was a comedy genius.
He was just...
See, and that's another thing. We're talking about like growing up. Super Bowl 22 in San Diego when we got on TV.
Yeah.
The night before the Super Bowl, if it was Super Bowl 22, I was 21 years old.
Wait, I had to call them up. They asked them if they wanted to go see Sinatra. Just let them know. Because I want to take kids to see Sinatra. I don't want to go see him. Because I knew a guy who worked with his secretary. Now I can tell us that.
The night before the Super Bowl, my father took me and my brother to Sinatra. Was it Bette Midler?
No, Liza Minnelli.
Took us to a concert. You want to talk about great stories when you were growing up? That was, and we had great seats.
Bobby Lilly sat right near us.
A guy gets out of the taxi cab, tan. You knew he had bucks, and his friends laughing at him. He said, I guess I'll see you when the show was over, because he had no ticket. So when I got the tickets, I had to buy all four of them through my friend, and I paid $125. They were $100 tickets. I had to pay $25. So I didn't care, but I couldn't get rid of the one ticket because my brother-in-law's sister was there. Nobody wanted to go, so I got one ticket. So this is show you what you do when your kids are there. So I go. I see the guy. I walked with the guy. He says, I got a ticket for Sinatra. Do you want to go? Right away, the guy gets up and he says to me, what are you, a scalper? I would have did like I did to the Giant game. I would have tore the ticket up in front of him. I'm serious. I did a Giant ticket. I tore a $100 Giant ticket up in front of the guy. I said, that's it. Now I don't care who goes. When we got the guy inside, we were in the 7th row. The guy was buying me drinks. He couldn't buy. I can't wait till I go home, he said, to see my friend. He said,
your son Frank got that same mentality from you. And I'm going to tell you a little story that you probably don't even know. When Frank and I used to work together, there used to be a guy come around and sell watches. You remember this guy? He used to sell like knockoff. They were nice watches. Well, they would turn your wrist green. And I think it was you. I'm pretty sure it was you. The guy would always take him. He always came in the dealership and he would take him back. He takes the watch outside. The guy offers him the money back. Takes the watch outside and he goes and hits it with a hammer right in front of the guy. He goes, I'd rather bust this piece of shit rather than give it back to you. So maybe you rubbed off on your kids.
I'll tell you the thing with Liza Minnelli. They come down on a tram, down the aisle. Frank's taking pictures of her. Now she sees him, and she's smiling with him. He's taking pictures because she sees him, a young kid, this. Something happens to the camera. So what do you think he does?
Pull the whole roll out.
I said, now you happy? Now you ruined it. He said, I don't care. I said, you ruined everything on here.
That was back in the 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
He pulled a whole roll of film out there. Everything got exposed.
And I had a picture on there. I had Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson in a headlock.
Really?
On Bourbon Street.
On that same roll.
And messing Jimmy Johnson's hair.
Yeah.
And no one touches his hair.
What was it? That was, and like I said, that was going back to days.
That was Bears Patriots because we said, remember, there's Wade
Super Bowl
Phillips.
20.
I hope you guys both realize how lucky.
And that's what I said when you brought up the social media question. I can't pick out one time. I said, we've been so lucky. He took us to so many Super Bowls. We went to New Orleans. We got into parties we weren't supposed to be at. We were staying in a hotel where the NFL Players Association had their dinner. So me and my brother took the hotel up, and we used to get autographs all the time. So we're standing outside. We get outside the elevator and the big ballrooms right there. To get into it, you had to have a ticket, and then they stamped your hand.
Jacket.
They give you a ticket, and then they had to stamp your hand, and you give him the ticket. So some guy comes out and he sees me and my brother there, and he's like, "You guys want to go in?" He went in. He showed a ticket, got his hand stamped. He came back out and gave me and brother. He asked the guy. He said, "Can I keep these tickets? Just for keepsake." Said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Gives me and my brother the tickets. Me and my brother were in an NFL Players Association dinner with everybody that was who's who of NFL players. I mean, it was unbelievable.
You should write a book on how to relate to your children, especially going through a divorce, having to be a single parent. Because it sounds like to me you did a wonderful job at.
No, their mother did it. I'd tell you one thing. My divorce today, I did nothing. His mother was terrific. Just my lifestyle. She was a mother, and I was never cheated, but I want to go here. Where you going? I'm going here. And I took her all over.
Yeah, but you were always involved in their lives. So
that's because her mother would call, their mother would call me and say, "Yeah, you're going to see little Frankie play?" Yeah. She knew. "Go stop here, I'll drive you there." It was people would say to me, "I just saw your wife. I'm divorced 20 years now."
You would never know my parents are divorced. They did everything together. Like if their friends were going out to dinner, he'd say, "Hey, Kath, come on,
Like
Tammy and Willie going out to dinner
take her
tonight."
on. Out of respect for them, when I only told this to Frankie the other day, because I would never tell the kids this. Out of respect, I went out with your mother once alone. My friend had a bar in Manhattan, so she knew him. So we go anyway. He ain't there. He's not. So now I'm talking really conversation, and I said, "I can't do it." I said, "Kath, we just go home." And I could have went home, and I said, "We're gonna start. I'm not gonna change. Why am I gonna put her back in the same position that she was when I ain't gonna change?"
But that's a respect thing.
That's what I said. It's out of respect.
It's a respect thing.
I told him, and it's the truth. I never slept with your mother once after I got divorced.
You want to tell the positions because since your boys are? No, I'm only kidding.
It's
not going to mention names.
It's a respect I say.
Yeah. But if you were to see another father in your position, what is the best piece of advice you think you could give them?
Just don't lose your kids. No matter what happens, you got to bring them back. You got to reel them. I don't care what you do. You got to just don't lose them. My friend married. He had a daughter. And his wife, here's how crazy she was. She would sing. She would run around the house singing, "Your father's a bitch and your mother and you're your mother's son, so that means you're a son of a bitch." Never said nothing. Never.
Sounds like what I used to say to my brother.
But he tried to. He didn't see his daughter in 50 years. Never saw when she got married, because the mother poisoned the kid. Never came, and he was good to her. The kid went to Notre Dame. I said, "Mike, you know why she don't use you? Because her husband's got money. She don't need you." But that she just poisoned him.
We are coming to the end of this thing.
One question I want to say real quick. Who were the Damon Runyon characters?
Oh, come on.
Told you we did research.
There's a
Mic
million.
drop.
There's a million of them. I mean, they used to hang out with Bigfoots. Bigfoots is like the Damon Runyon place where they hung out in it. And you go in there, you'd see. I mean, it's like crazy. Tony the Horse, Pimbo.
Everybody had nicknames, but he was only a union rep.
What was the other one?
You had Limpy.
Yeah, Limpy.
Limpy.
Damon Runyon characters.
Johnny the Spook. Or whatever it was. So we are coming to the end of this thing, and I do want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Toyota of Hackensack. We buy our cars there because we don't trust anybody. Go to toyotahackensack.com and let them find you a car. You went there, Mr. Failace.
Very good car.
All right, and how do they treat you?
Very good.
All right, that's the best plug we can give for Toyota.
Very good. I could say that. I still don't know how to drive the car, but I put this on. I turn this, the windshield goes on. I turn this, the brake is
The
off.
sunroof opens.
It's like the family truckster.
The brake is off. I said, "What the hell did I do now? I didn't touch nothing." I said, when I left the place, I said to the kid, "Listen, put all the radio stations on I know. Put 72 degrees." I said, because my thing was, if the place, the
Climate control?
yeah, but the stadium in New Orleans. They used to keep it at 72. If it's
Superdome.
good, Superdome. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, I said. Make it 70. But I still haven't touched nothing.
Mr. Failace, I thank you so much for coming in and telling us all this stuff. It's been a lot of fun. Frank, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Mike and I have been talking about getting you in here for some time, and especially seeing how well you did at the Grand Saloon. I think this has been something special.
Well, it's good to me, which is sometimes you don't like to tell stories because you don't want to get people involved, And
You don't want to mention any names.
No.
The key.
We got to do a Suffering Podcast after our show, and then we can get all the stories.
Oh yeah, it'll be closed. Actually,
Put it on Patreon.
On Patreon, that'll be a good one. So if you want to hear the stories behind the stories, yeah, it'll be like ever since I can remember growing up in Jersey City, I always wanted to be a gangster. the movie starts.
Frank, we have a lot of pre-stories because Andrew, everything we were talking about before, he records anyway. So
it's just I never really want to be like a gangster.
No, I don't blame you.
No, I'm just saying people just thought that. They say to him, I said, "What is your father's?" I said, "What do you tell them?" I said, "I don't know." That's what you tell them.
When I was in college, people thought it all the time, and I never said yes or no.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they wouldn't.
That's a powerful weapon.
It was.
You got that right.
I never denied it or approved it.
When he would play American Legion Ball, remember Mr. Robinson? Guy used to come to the game. He would sit at the game. Mike became good friends with his grandson who died in the 9/11. He would sit with me. He would actually have a chair. Bring the chair, would sit down, and some days I'd go there like this, and other days I'd go there dressed because I'm going out after that. So I come in there dressed one day and we're sitting down. He says to me, "Frank, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah, Joe, don't whatever you want to ask." He says, "Are you involved?" So I said to him, "Does it matter?" He said, "I'm sorry. I'll never ask you again."
Meanwhile, you're sitting in the chair going like this with a cat on your lap. It's like, no, Mr. Failace, this has been wonderful. It has really been wonderful. Thank you so much. You're always welcome to come in here. Thank you for lending me your son every week. And
I told you could have him forever.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of a Father with Mr. Frank Failace Sr. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. Frankie Butch, Tony Horse, and the other one I'm not even going to mention.
What was the spook?
Yeah, I'm not. No.
That was Patty's spook.
Patty.
No names.
No names.
A father can give you just one look. Don't walk through a movie set because it may cost you $20,000. We won't mention names. I learned that one. And if you're going to get a job when you grow up, be a union delegate. But most importantly, and this is from the heart, is don't ever lose your kids.
I wouldn't. I tell them that. I'm the first one when they argue. I get on. If I know which one I get on, he calls me. I think I called one of them up, and the wife calls me back. He said, "Did you call up someone?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "He just called me." I said, "I'm glad. Don't ever, I don't care." Hey, I'll give you a good example. The best example I can give you. My Uncle Frankie. I'm at my grandmother's house. It's my mother, my Uncle Frankie, my Uncle Nicky, and my grandmother. So for some reason, she was in the back to do something. So my Uncle Frankie says to my mother, if she said something, I had to slap you in the face. I jumped over, I grabbed him. "Don't you ever say that to my mother again." My mother starts hitting me. I said, "What are you doing?" "That's my brother," she said. And I realized she didn't say nothing wrong. That's how brothers and sisters would. He didn't mean he was going to slap her. He just, you do that again, like I'll kick you in the ass.
Thank you so much. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. Don't forget, you can always listen before you watch. All of our audio episodes come out on Monday. Go to popple.com, put in the code TSP20 for a nice 20% discount on your next digital business card. Don't forget to follow us on social media, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. Follow The Drunken Corner. And don't forget to follow the Suffering Podcast. We're going to see you on the next episode.